hello, you fabulous skywatchers of cyberspace. Welcome to Wish Upon Meissa, Star Magic Grimoire Angel Gabiel. Lunar Mansion number 5, which is the head of Orion. Now, magic rituals and spells hold sway over events for the favor of kings, the acquisition of virtuosity, talents in craftsmanship, also high esteem of married couples, or it can also be used for the devastation of informal or casual alliances. Now, this is a very powerful and mostly beneficial lunar mansion that can greatly increase attaining of lofty position, valuable talents, titles, and a grand vocation, or even an illustrious reputation. So this lunar mansion has a lot of things that it can be utilized for. Now, this is your Wish Upon a Star lunar horoscope. When Luna voyages through the 5th lunar mansion, dwelling in the expanse of stars that span from the last portion of the sign of Taurus the Bull to the first half of the sign of Gemini the Twins, bringing great vigor, strength, fitness, kindness, support, safety, academic accomplishments, and omnipresent appearance, very celestial appearance, and general benevolent helpfulness. Lunar Mansion number 5 is magically activated when the moon transits this mansion of the moon. Now, use projective magic during a waxing moon or receptive magic in the course of a waning moon. In the time of a new moon, either complete receptive magic spells just before the new moon occurs, or begin projective magic ritual just after the new moon. For the time of a full moon, either complete projective magic rituals just before the full moon occurs, or begin receptive magic spells just after the occurrence of the full moon. I'm Pastor Rosemary, the Astrology Angel. I'm a Rosicrucian seer, a biblical astrologer, Christian psychic, and Gnostic mystic. And this is a Readings by Rosemary angelic transmission. Now, Luna will be in Taurus, 21 degrees, 25 minutes, and 40 seconds, moving to Gemini. And that will be at 4 degrees, 17 minutes, and 9 seconds. This is according to Abraham. Now, the star to wish upon inside the 5th mansion of the moon, Al-Haka, is named Meissa, that dwells in the head of Orion, called the white spot. And this is according to Warnock. Ask the angel of Lambda Orionis, otherwise known as Meissa, who is named Gabiel, Gabiel is the angel, to grant you the favor of kings and his court, and to become influential, as well as to receive all good things for which you ask. Sorceresses and sorcerers create representations to provide for secure voyages for students to acquire knowledge of craftsmanship, virtuosity, and vocations to strengthen the beauty of structures. Like, for example, President Trump is beautifying Washington. This is the mansion that he would be doing that for. To devastate and eradicate informal alliances, or to bring approval and high esteem to married couples. It can be a very fortunate, a very, very prosperous mansion of the moon. Now, to persuade Gabiel to grant you the powers of acquiring the endowment and patronage of royalty and nobles to use as you will, a rendering of a head alone, bereft of its torso and limbs, so it's like a head, floating head, shaped and cast, is recommended by Warnock. That's to use in this mansion. Okay. Now, Agrippa describes the 5th lunar mansion as being named Alchete or Albache. So Agrippa has some slightly different meanings for this mansion regarding the name of it. But some of the recommendations are similar to Warnock in that Agrippa recommends supplication towards Gabiel, the lunar angel, to facilitate those on a journey to go back to their point of origin, to advance academics, as we mentioned, to bestow well-being, fitness, and compassion, if that's been missing, and to validate construction projects by using the images thereof. So construction projects, as we mentioned, like to beautify a city, to beautify some kind of like Washington, D.C., like the reflecting pool and the arch, those kind of things. This is for this mansion, and it does bring a lot of favor to the person doing it, and it brings favor to those who look upon it, and it brings favor to the nation. It's a very lucky mansion of the moon, and it brings very high esteem. Now, what we also can do with this mansion, when you, especially if you use the name of the mansion and the images thereof, and you utilize the angel Gabiel and you supplicate the angel, an icon of a man's head is used to gain the help and esteem of sovereigns. That's why they put it on coins. Okay, so to get the esteem of sovereigns, to get the favor of monarchs and constables, as well as to gain access to theaters, plays, and concerts. You can get all these kind of favors from nobles and aristocrats and from sovereigns with the use of a man's head in this mansion. And we're going to tell you how Christians use this, because all religions use these lunar mansions. How well, the ones I know of anyway, how Christians use this mansion for some of the iconography and how it can help you as a Christian. I'll get to that in one second. But let me tell you first that Agrippa also reveals that for the purpose of adding magical potency to the talisman, conjurers created the emblem of silver, which contained the representation of a man's head, and scented it with sanders. Okay, now understand that silver, they call it the silver screen. That's why. The lunar mansions, because silver was one of the main substances used, one of the main materials used to make icons of mansions. So the silver screen came in handy. Now, for you Christians, especially Orthodox, Lutherans, or Catholics that use a lot of iconography and saints, well, here's a special note. Catholics use the cloth of Saint Veronica, that image with Jesus' face on it. When Jesus was carrying the cross, and Saint Veronica went over and put the cloth on Jesus' face, and when she pulled it away, it had his image, and that is now a holy object. Okay, so that cloth of Saint Veronica, or any kind of representation or replica, paintings, anything like that, these statues, anything of the cloth of Saint Veronica, these things can be used for lunar mansion number 5, and will bring you all the beneficial things of this mansion number 5 and the pointer star of Meissa. Okay, and use a card or artwork, like a Catholic card or artwork or sculpture, which specifically fits as the proper representation to bring to the supplicant all of the health, influence, and prosperity of mansion of the moon number 5, which is named Al-Haka or Al-Chate or Al-Bache. Al-Haka is for Warnock, or as Agrippa called it, Al-Chate or Al-Bache. Now, according to Kabbalistic lore, Taurus is ruled by Venus, while Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Taurus birthstone is emerald, with Gemini birthstone being pearl. So you can make some kind of a talisman, be it an amulet or a ring or a necklace or a rosary. You can utilize the pearl for this mansion and the silver for the metal, like for the chain of the rosary, or for the bezel of the amulet, or any kind of talisman, like for what you're going to use for the setting, for the for the ring, what you're going to set it in, that, and then pearl to put in, that kind of thing. Okay, so go look on my channel. I did several years ago, 2020 or 2021, either 2020 or 2021, I did all lunar mansions. And I did this once before, but I put it with a specific moon. But all the information is there. And I mentioned about these wonderful metals that you can use in the specific stars. We're going to get into that for you now. We're going to give it to you right here. So you can look that up for the star of Meissa if you want to, or you can just stay with us right now, because I'm going to give you all the metals you can use and all the stars and the star magic, so that you can make any kind of talismans you want, and you can have very powerful magic. Okay, so moving along to the rosaries and amulets. Okay, so rosaries and amulets using pearls for Gemini are magically potent for this praxis. Also, Kabbalistic and alchemical planetary associations, in this instance of a moon in Gemini, whilst transiting through lunar mansion number 5, could be utilized with perfumes, essential oils, herbs, or flowers, as well as colors. Planetary alchemical metals, in this case, would indicate quicksilver, also called mercury, for the planet Mercury. Warning, warning, quicksilver or mercury is toxic and maintains a liquid state at room temperature. Therefore, the fluid metal of quicksilver or mercury is neither practical nor usable for this operation. Quicksilver should only be handled by persons possessing the certification and the expertise to do so. Regarding the Gemini birthstone of pearl, this could be used for amulet, talisman, as well as rosary beads because of the toxicity and the fluid state of quicksilver or mercury. The magician must find another metal other than the planet Mercury's alchemical metal of quicksilver to be used for the forming of a rosary chain, or the shaping of the base of an amulet, or for the creating of a setting of magically intended jewelry. It's important to note here that according to Vivian Irwood Robson, author of the book The Fixed Stars and Constellations in Astrology, the Greek astronomer Ptolemy attributes the star of Meissa, also called Lambda Orionis, which is found in the head of Orion the Hunter, as being attributed to the planets of Jupiter and Saturn in regards to the planetary nature of this area of the constellation of Orion. So it's specific for this mansion. All right, here's what we're the specificity for this mansion. All but 2 of the stars found in the constellation of Orion have planetary associations with Jupiter and Saturn. Now, only 2. So moving right along, the associations including Meissa also. Okay, now only a couple of stars located near the shoulders of Orion the Hunter have differing planetary aspects. Again, the star Meissa or Lambda Orionis, which finds placement in Orion's head, is included in the stars assigned to the planetary qualities of Jupiter and Saturn, according to Ptolemy. Now, since Ptolemy attributes the star Meissa, which is located in the head of Orion the Hunter, to be associated with the planets Jupiter and Saturn, and since Jupiter is alchemically associated with the metal of tin, which is pragmatic and usable for this operation, this would be a magically realistic choice to utilize when fashioning a rosary chain or a metal support, which would then be attached to pearls, beads, or sigils, respectively. Now, Jupiter's alchemical metal of tin, okay? Jupiter's alchemical metal of tin is a feasible choice for working for this particular praxis. Now, Ptolemy's other planetary association for Meissa being Saturn as the alchemical metal of lead assigned to it by most Kabbalists and alchemists, warning lead is toxic and therefore not realistic nor exploitable for this function of fashioning magical talismans. Lead should only be handled by persons possessing the license and the skill to do so. Now, since Agrippa discloses that silver is the metal recommended by ancient conjurers for use in fashioning the traditional magical insignia of Mansion of the Moon named Alhaka, Alchete, or Albiche, possessing the figure of a man's head, this would be another magically reasonable choice for use as a rosary chain, an amulet base, or jewelry setting for pearl bead rosaries, charms, or ornamentation. With that said, remember that silver is associated with Luna, the moon, and therefore is not specifically revealed by Ptolemy as the precise planetary nature to be used for summoning the star Meissa. Now, conjurers get their best results when utilizing materials and substances which invoke the desired magical emotion in themselves, being in similitude with the magician's intended physical manifestation. So you want to invoke the emotion that puts you in the mood to get what you're trying to get. Because there's different things you can do with this mansion. A few things that could be considered more going on the offensive, and most of the things being extremely beneficial. A few very slightly baneful, but most of them very beneficial. Okay? Now, you have to be precise, and you should be, because these are powerful, potent emblems and icons, and these things would not be being used by the religions and the movies and the commercials and the TV programs and the plays and the old paintings and on the cave, the art in the caves. It wouldn't be being used forever and ever and ever, and even used more even now on social media. They wouldn't be using these things in all the TV shows and everything, and even on the news and all the videos, if they weren't powerful. And rosaries wouldn't be such a big hit if they weren't powerful. And magical jewelry wouldn't be such a big hit if they weren't so powerful. So understand that. They're used for a reason. They're potent for a reason. They're archetypal. They're Jungian. They're part of the collective unconscious. All right. And I'm watching Freud right now on the TV show about Freud, which is extremely fascinating. And I did watch the Law According to Lydia Poet, which is very good. These shows are very good. And they have lots of these lunar mansions, but they're very good. Okay, now, also keep in mind that the number assigned to each mansion of the moon may vary, relying upon both the cultural and the astrological attributes of the system being used. What pinpoints the exact lunar mansion to which we are referring is made clear by the use of the star to be wished upon, as well as by the name of the indicated mansion of the moon. So understand that you got to keep your emotions in mind. Now, other Kabbalistic correspondences for lunar mansion number 5 are as follows. We can now give you some beautiful Kabbalistic correspondences. The moon in Gemini. The moon in Gemini provides the qualities of being spirited and ready for action. Ready for action. A great talent for organizing groups and constantly being dynamically eventful, as well as very busy. Luna in the sign of the twins loves and requires messaging from their contacts in all of their activities. Receiving both technical and personal information is vital for narratives, and it's very important for anybody using Mansion of the Moon that's in Gemini or possessing any moon in Gemini, okay? This is going from Taurus to Gemini, but it's a very large portion of it is in the first portion of Gemini. Now, planetary archangel for Luna or moon of the moon, the planetary archangel for Luna, also the planetary archangel for the moon itself is Gabriel. The planetary archangel Gabriel. And God is my strength is Gabriel, power of God and a messenger of God. So Gabriel is the power of God, the messenger of God, and God is my strength. He is the planetary archangel of the moon. He or she, some people say it's Gabrielle, Gabriella, or Gabby. In Xena, Gabrielle, she was the lunar star angel Gabby for this mansion. That's why she was a very beneficial person. Lucky for Xena, of course. Now, planetary archangel for all the water signs is Gabriel. He's the planetary archangel for the moon, but he's the zodiac elemental archangel for all of the water signs. Okay, we're not Gemini and Taurus are not water signs. So for here, his purpose is his or her purpose. Gabriel is for the moon, because we're utilizing the mansion of the moon, and for also we're using it for some people say that Gabriel instead of Gabiel. Okay, I like to stick with the original writings, and so Gabiel is more precise, but Gabriel can also be used for this mansion. Okay, now again, Gemini is not a water sign, and neither is Taurus, but again, it's for the moon. And it is sort of for this mansion because Gabriel can be seen as the same as Gabiel. I prefer saying Gabiel when I'm specifically trying to do something with this mansion number 5. Now, zodiac angel for Gemini is Umbriel, whose divine tone is I think. Gemini's divine tone is I think. Taurus is I have. Gemini's I think. Remember, this mansion of the moon is at the end of Taurus and the beginning, well over the first half, all the way to the 17th degree of Gemini. Okay, so understand that. Now, so Gemini is I think, Taurus is I have. tarot card for Luna or the moon is the High Priestess. This is the High Priestess card for you here. And that is not only, she is specifically the tarot card for Luna, or also for the moon. Luna, the same thing. Now, you say, isn't the moon card? No, the moon card is for Pisces. For the moon, the planet of the moon, we call it a planet in alchemy. The moon's considered an ancient planet. The High Priestess is specifically for Luna, specifically for the moon. Remember, the moon card is for Pisces. Remember that. Put that in the vault. The Western array musical note for the moon or Luna is F. Okay. And also, tarot card for Gemini is the Lovers. The Lovers card is for Gemini. And if you want to know what's for Taurus, it would be the Hierophant. So the Lovers is for Gemini. The Western array musical note for Gemini, once again, is F. Okay? And remember, F is for, that's a musical tone. All right, now, regarding the information found in this document, it is based on the oral tradition known as Kabbalah, taught to me by a Rosicrucian clergy when I was but a young girl, the facts of which I have committed to memory. Much of the information about star magic was also taught to me through the adjacent German pagan coven, which had established satellite covens throughout the world. I began writing a book based on these extremely important teachings in 1988, which I have entitled to be my Star Magic Grimoire. The reference books want to mention Mansions of the Moon, a Lunar Zodiac for Astrology and Magic, 2nd edition, with 2019 and 2033 Mansion Ephemeris, written by Christopher Warnock. Also, the second book we want to mention is 3 Books of Occult Philosophy, Llewellyn's Sourcebook series, authored by Henry Cornelius Agrippa of Netisham in 1533, translated by James Freak in 1650, and edited and annotated by Donald Tyson, 1993, Llewellyn Publications. Also, the third very important book, The Fixed Stars and Constellations in Astrology, authored by Vivian Irwin Robson, and that's in 1923, published by American Federation of Astrologers, cover design by Jack Cipolla. Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Please join us again next time. We'll see you soon.